spirit. And I love that Garnet responded by saying, I really want to elaborate on my inquiry, but as requested, I'm keeping it short. And that's why we've chosen your question. Lee, how do we deal with monetizing the gifts from spirit?
Garnet's she's got a short answer, and
a short. We don't know.
She's got a short question, and a long answer, which is very typical. You know, in this particular time, right now where we are, we have so many who are used to a certain kind, I would say, of reality. YouTube costs nothing for you. Facebook costs nothing. And so people are expecting almost everything you might have to give for free. You can go to YouTube, for instance, and find out anything you want to, get instructions for anything you can conceive of from people who are never teachers, now teaching. There's so many things, and they're all free. Now, I'm going to say to, for instance, Garnett, she's not expanding on it, but a gift from Spirit might be healing. It might be channeling. It might be something truly that you are given to this planet to help others. What do? This is a big one, and it's a big one for many of those of us who have gifts and the tools of Spirit. One of the biggest things for me was, can I go full-time? Can I quit my job and all that? And then I said, well, if I do, I'm going to have to charge some money. And people are not used to that because they can go to church for free. We hear this constantly. Why should I pay anything for a Healing Wednesday meeting, for instance, when I can get the same kinds of things in websites and YouTube and all that? So it is a quandary. I'll tell you how some of us have looked at it and solved it for ourselves. There's two things to think about, and one of them is very metaphysical. If you give it away, if you can give it away and still earn a living and you have time, there's a couple of questions. What is the message you're going to send to the universe? It's worth nothing. I'm telling you, this is very, very real. So you've decided you're going to take this gift and give it away. You might say, well, wait a minute, that's a very altruistic thing, and that's beautiful. The universe will love you. You're telling the universe that there is no remuneration, and it's not worth much. That is the signal you're sending. Like it or not, that's the signal. Now, the other thing is, can you do it and still live? We're in a society. So you might have a gift and you'll say, I want to give it away. I do. I don't care what you say, even if it gives the wrong signal to Spirit. I would love to give this to everybody. Unfortunately, I have to pay the rent. Now, that is a very real situation. Not everybody does. You might have a provider, in which case you can go and do whatever you want to. But if you're your own provider, you've got to pay the rent. So how do you then do this thing that walks between two worlds of the spirituality and all of the message that you'd like to give out, and at the same time, you're going to have to pay the rent? I'll tell you the way some of us have done it. In fact, more and more have done it. I started many, many years ago understanding this and did it, and here's how I did it. Kryon told me very early, he said, every single channeling should be free, period. Don't charge for channeling. So I had that message very clearly. And I said to Kryon in the shower, I said, if I'm not going to charge for this, how do I pay the rent? He said, the channeling should be free. Your teaching around what you know and what you can do, you can charge for. So you can see how I solved that. Now, not everybody has that kind of a thing. So what we're seeing is this. It's a balance between free programs and paid programs. Most of my friends who are channeling and for healing and giving programs have a segments that are free for everyone. And they don't water them down and give you a little, they give you a lot. And so our free programs are our best speakers, and they are given to you, and then we earn our living from the other things that we do. Meanwhile, all of the channels that you hear are free. You see how we walk this line. So again, the answer is everyone is different. But in my opinion, that there should be a free complement, and if you also have to earn a living at the same time, charge for then what you do, what you teach. Is that?
I think that's a beautiful.
Confusing, or is
No, it's a beautiful answer. Yeah. Money is simply energy,
yeah.
And it is about how we are exchanging the energy, and what value do you put on that energy. And how do you attract that energy to you? So that's very good answers of how you navigate. And thank you for your question, Garnet. I think now we're going to move into a meditation and a channel from Kryon. I invite you to close your eyes and take a deep breath in through your nose, out through your mouth. And as you relax, tune in a little further into what's happening in your body. Are there any areas that are sending you a message? Perhaps there may be a pain somewhere you are feeling in your body. And if that's the case, what is it that that area of your body wants to say to you in this moment? And if you are in a very pleasant space without any pain, I invite you to tune in to the energy of your heart. What is it that your heart wishes to say to you? And just allow a moment to hear that message. And feel the gratitude and thanks from that part of your body that you have acknowledged the communication between something that is a part of you and has been wanting to communicate with you. And in this gratitude and thanks, we'll move into a Kryon channel, and just remember to continue having this dialogue again and again in the future.
Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. I come to you every single week with messages. And the messages over time have changed. They're becoming more personal and less global. If you take a look at the transmissions, if you want to call it that, the messages from the books of 30 years ago, the first one was global. It told you about an upcoming shift. It told you that you would not have an Armageddon. The book called The End Times was about the end of an old time. Truly a metaphoric title, frightening to some until they read the book. These are global messages. But in these last few years, the messages are becoming more personal. And the reason for that, dear ones, is because the relationship that you are having with that which you call the creative source, spirit, God, is starting to be closer. And that is by design of your own society, culture, and humanism. You have elected with free choice to start changing the energy of this planet. Now, some of you have not heard that before will say, I don't remember the election. Consciousness is like this. When 1 billion people or more at some level start to understand integrity, transparency, truth, compassion, kindness, and they look in their society and they realize that there's a lot of broken things. As you look around today, right now, in your societies, wherever you are on the planet, are there broken things? And you might say, well, of course, there are always broken things, but now you're doing something about it. Did you notice? That is what I speak of. It is becoming more personal. Quite often, we give you a theme for the month, for the 4 channels that will occur, the 4 messages that will occur. All of these messages will be free to everyone. This month, the message, personal, practical, and yet to some very difficult. And that is, how does the old soul light worker deal with ordinary things? And I have selected 4 ordinary things that are difficult for old souls and light workers. And so it is practical, and you'll recognize some of these things, and there are instructions I have given, some in the past, some far in the past, and that I will revive again so you can hear them even now and today. What I give you, I hope you recognize. Because as you start to awaken, I use that term not loosely. An awakening is coming out of a slumber. In fact, sleep is a type of a reality. So as you awaken out of that sleep state and you open your eyes, this is the metaphor for the old soul in a new energy starting to become aware of things around them that they were never aware of before, including a grander truth. We've said this many times. There is a grander truth. There always will be. The more you truly find out what is happening with your soul energy, about the system of your soul, about things that are not exactly as you were told, the more you find out, the greater the awakening. That is what we will call a grander truth. And we've given you many, many metaphors. But what this does is create a different scenario or a paradigm of living. Because you wake up and you realize things are more difficult. Because around you is an entire planet that may not share your awakening. Old souls with hundreds of past lives are starting to awaken first. It makes sense. In the school, you might say, of experience and expression, you go through hundreds of lives, you come in every single time with an Akashic remembrance and a knowledge of what you've done and where you've been at some level. That's what makes an old soul an old soul. So the first one of 4 of dealing with what we will call ordinary things for extraordinary souls like you, the old souls, will be this: dealing with the consciousness around you. Now that includes everything. In the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th messages, we'll talk about dealing with family. We're talking about dealing with workplace. We're talking about dealing with culture. But this is general. How do you deal with the consciousness around you? Now, there are some specific instructions that we wish to give to you. But let's first define it better. Dear ones, suddenly does it hurt your heart to be with scenarios that you've always been with friends perhaps you've always been with, and suddenly you're realizing what gossip does. Suddenly you're hearing complaining. You were always so part of it, and it was so normal, because it's what human nature often does. There's no evil there. There's no dark energy there. It's simply a lower consciousness, dear ones. But suddenly, you react to it. And so you are no longer then wanting to contribute to the gossip or the complaining or any of the other things which seem to do nothing but pull everybody down into a dark hole. You wish you could bring up enlightening things and positive things. And if you've ever tried in a group which is invested in gossip, they simply look at you, don't say anything, and move on to the next gossip subject. It's tough. It's tough. What do you do about that? I will tell you there are those who say, well, you remove yourself, of course. And there were days in an older energy when that's exactly what you did. Well, I'll never do that, so I won't be their friend anymore. And so you remove yourself. Dear ones, don't remove yourself. And this is the new information. Here is the premise of the old soul on earth. Are you listening? The reason you're here, are you listening? You exist right now for a remembrance in your Akash, your remembrance of your Akash, of the light from the other side of the veil. You are here to mirror the splendor of spirit. You are here to mirror that which you believe and understand about the beauty of the creative source of God. That's why you're here. You are here to be a walking example of positiveness, of kindness, of compassion, of being able to heal yourself amongst the friends who may never see it, or they might. So you're around those who are gossiping. You're around those who are complaining. Number one, don't chime in with what they want you to say. You may say nothing, but you would hold a positive attitude. Even if you don't say much, they'll understand over time you're not saying much. They may actually turn to you at one time and say, you've changed a little.